Chris Akers, so just a little bit about myself here and kind of a background so everybody can know something and take something away from my life. Is I served in the military, I served in the Army for 12 years, and I'm married with 3 kids. So kind of a lot going on in my whole entire life, and it helped shape me into the person I am today. So that kind of gives me, a nice, gift of exploring life to its fullest and just doing as much as I could. Now, when I got ready, got out of high school and everything, I decided I was going to join the military because my parents didn't really give me a choice. They said, hey, you need to go to school or do something with your life. Go in the military. My dad was in the military, so I decided to join the military in the Army 2001 in October, 1 month after 9/11. So it kind of sparked something in me to just do something that was bigger than me. So explore life, explore the world, and do something that was outside of my world here in Nebraska. So 12 years I went, and 4 years active duty is what I did, and I was in infantry, 11 Bravo, and I was first stationed in Hawaii in the 27th Infantry Division, and it was a little weird being home, away from home, kind of on your own as a 18-year-old kid, not knowing anybody, but just knowing that you go through basic and AIT, and you understand that a lot of people are going through the same thing you're going through, and that there's always support there, and that the military itself is just one big family. Everybody is always there for everyone else. And so when I got done with my active duty time, I decided that I didn't want to be active duty anymore in the extent of 7 days a week. So I decided to go into the Army Reserve, and I was active duty Army Reserve. So I only had to do it 5 days a week, but I still did it. That was my job. That was my full-time job. And so I got to come back home to Lincoln, Nebraska, and kind of be around family again after being away for 4 years and kind of going out and about and doing different activities, missions, and whatnot. After I got back into Lincoln, it was kind of a big change, big culture shock, because you're used to just seeing everybody always. You're on a military base, and here in Lincoln, it's just a reserve unit that you work at. So there's about maybe 5 or 6 of us that work in the building every day, and then you see everybody show up on the weekends, and you're just like, oh, that's it. So it's kind of nice, but kind of just anxious because you're not used to something happening like that. So when you're used to doing something 24/7, and there's always people around and everything. So during my time in the military, I deployed 4 different times, all times to Iraq. I was a part of the initial wave when we went into Iraq in 2003. So the big rush to go into Iraq, get to Baghdad as fast as possible, I was a part of that group, and that was something pretty significant because we went as fast as we could just to try to take over the largest city in Iraq, to kind of take it over and just occupy that as quickly as possible, and then the rest of the country and the military speaking would just kind of fall into suit. So it was kind of a big memory in my whole entire life, being a young kid, just go into Iraq, not knowing anything, 19 years old, and just kind of doing everything like that. So it was really nice to actually experience that, and that really helped shape me as a man, as you grow up and everything, and you learn from your experiences as you get older. So it was really nice to get to have that experience in my life. And I went to other countries. I mainly stayed in Iraq for every one of my deployments. It's kind of nice when you get to go and you have some time off that they send you for like 3-day weekends to go to Kuwait or Dubai. And so it's a little weird because you're just like, it's 3 days and then you're kind of not really much of a vacation. So it was nice to get to go to other countries besides just staying in Iraq the entire time. So nice. Shortly after I got back in Lincoln, after I had served my active duty time, I met my wife here in Lincoln, Nebraska, which was probably the most nervous thing. I just walked into Target in my uniform, had to go and get supplies and stuff. And so she was a cashier there, and so I got to talk to her, and it was just kind of a weird thing that just kind of happened for me. So I just decided to take a leap of faith, ask her out, just to see, never met her in my entire life before. And then all of a sudden it was like, let's just go for it and let's see what happens, you know? You never know what life will bring you. And so little did I know then that we would soon get married a few years down the road, and she had stuck with me this entire time and dealt with all of my craziness and my military deployments. Two of my deployments were active duty and two of my deployments were reserve, and she stuck with me through all that. And that really gave me a sign that like she was worth keeping, you know, so it was kind of nice. And then being married and being in the military it's not easy for a spouse, so, and I knew that, so I really admire her for sticking with me. It's not easy, so, but with that, we had our first kid, and so I went on one of my deployments and missed the first year of my first child's life, and that was the sign of when I needed to get out, because my dad was in the military, spent a lot of time away from me, so I didn't really get to spend a lot of time with my dad when I was younger. So with that, I kind of knew that family was going to be more important, not the military anymore. And then when my contract was up in 2013, I got out and I continued on with my life. I kind of took a break and explored a little bit with my wife and my family, kind of just doing this and that, and just kind of doing some odd end jobs, and then just kind of hanging out with my family and spending as much time as possible. And then we had another kid, another girl, and then life just kind of continued to keep on coming, because all my kids ended up being about 2.5 years apart, because then we had another kid 2.5 years later, and my son and I decided, well, I think this is enough kids for me, so it was time for me to end it. So, but just a little something to know about me, that my time in service was very, very emotional for me, very memorable, very important to my life, and my family, my wife and my 3 kids. They were best things in my life. I can say, like, can't get any better than that. So one thing I will say though is I took this, I brought this in because I thought it was just the most unique thing that I ever gotten, was a folded flag, and that most of the time you don't get a folded flag in a positive manner. It always comes in more of a negative manner of a fallen brother or sister. And so I kept this after one of our deployments, and just thought that was the most memorable thing that I could show for everybody here today.